Sue. The next question for the evening now. Question number 2 is from A Bit Unnerved in Bloomfield. And I love the alliteration this evening. A Bit Unnerved in Bloomfield says, I own a small strip center in the northwest suburbs. Since the pandemic, I have lost 2 of my 5 tenants. Another tenant is very late on payments. My bank says that because of my recent vacancies, they will have to call my loan due as I do not debt service. I believe that's a typo. I have not been late on any of my payments. My own business has surprisingly increased, and I have more money each month since the pandemic than I can use to pay the bank. The bank wants to call my note. How is this right? How is this fair? Can the bank do this? So I'm kind of assuming that the phrase they omitted is they will have to call my loan due as I cannot perform my debt service, perhaps?
Well, actually, let me, coming from banking.
Okay.
So she's using that word correctly, and she's actually using it correctly in the sentence.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting, but so it's a commercial loan or a business loan. What she's saying is, what's the debt service on the loan? There are certain ratios. So like in residential lending, we might have, the debt ratios are this. Well, debt service is just another fancy word for debt ratios. Okay. So she doesn't debt service, and there's different things that you can say, but in the end,
okay. So debt service can be like a verb and a noun, because I think of debt service as a thing. My debt service is my mortgage payment.
But this is a banking slang.
But this is an action. This is like an action word. Okay. Yeah.
It's banking slang, and it sounds like she took it. Somebody said to her, "Oh, you don't debt service, so we can't help you." But wow, so that's kind of like a commercial workout situation. Again, we do a lot of financial dispute issues, commercial loans, residential loan issues, and having been at the banks for many years, and having already worked through 2 different huge recessions. Of most recent note would be the 2008 Great Recession. What's going on right now is unprecedented again. It's even bigger than 2008. And normally, Blair, you would never hear me say to somebody, hey, call me, right? This person, but these questions come in already. They call me, or in my office, and my legal associates, the younger associates, will compile the best questions for the week. So they've already called. But if you have this question in mind, you need to call an experienced banking finance attorney. That's where the real estate and finance comes in. Okay. Mortgage loans, commercial loans, business loans. Because what she's dealing with, I heard that last paragraph, and that's extremely important. And that is, she is still making the payment. She hasn't missed a payment. Her income is actually trending up from what you said. Like she says she's doing better.
From what she says, yep.
So whoever is telling her she doesn't quote debt service, or the banker is trying to, scare her a bit. And, that's collecting money is the bank's job when they make loans, right? It may not be as bad as she thinks. So yeah, she may not debt service, but if she's not in default and she hasn't made a payment, it's highly unlikely that the bank is going to call her note. The bank might put her on what we call a watch list, but she's technically performing. They call it a performing note. She's technically performing because she's still making the payment, but where the income's coming from is not as secure as it used to be, because there were quite a few tenants that were making payments. So that's why they're probably not counting that income. So they're saying that she doesn't service the debt properly.
Okay.
It's a little complicated, I think more complicated for this type of format that we're doing right now. But let me the bare essence of this is, for those people who are watching now, and from the future, if you're watching this, we're now going on our 8th month of the COVID virus recession. The recession that is caused by the pandemic, and real estate and business loans have all been affected, and I think 60,000 small businesses have been put out of business because of the pandemic lockdowns. And because of that, people aren't able to make their payments not only on their mortgages for residential property, but small businesses can't make their payments to the banks on their buildings.
Yep.
So there's a lot coming down the pipe. It's
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm going to date this. It's mid to late September as we're speaking. It's going to get worse, unfortunately. And if you find yourself in the same position as this lady or gentleman, do not fold and do not try to do this on your own. You do need to get an experienced attorney in this area, because the banks hire very good attorneys. At risk of sounding immodest, I was the in-house counsel and enforcer for some of the country's largest banks for many years. And we do know the ins and outs on how to make a business owner's life miserable. But at the same token, I'm like a prosecutor who left the service of the public, and now I know how, I know both sides of this. And her situation or his situation is desperate. They feel that way, but it can be smoothed out, and I'm sure there can be a forbearance agreement or a workout on this transaction from what we just heard. Okay, have faith. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Yes. All right. A bit unnerved in Bloomfield. Take a breath.
Yeah.
And call David.
Right.
All right.